This question on vertebral artery had appeared in Mumbai University question paper for first MBBS in 1993 when I appeared for my first MBBS exam. The most unexpected question, but we managed to write it. And I'm not teaching you because it is an unexpected question. I'm teaching it to you because its vertebral artery is a very important artery. To tell you in short about the vertebral artery, these are the two subclavian arteries on the either side, and this is the vertebral column. This is the vertebral column, and the vertebral arteries arise from the first part. They arise from the first part. So this part, the first part runs from the subclavian artery, towards the vertebral column, and at the level of C6, it enters the foramen transversorium and travels through the foramen and transversorium up to C2. At C2, it goes slightly laterally and then enters the suboccipital triangle. So this is the first part. This is the second part lying in the foramen transversoria from C6 to C1. And then it passes, takes a turn around slightly laterally, and then enters the third part is in the suboccipital triangle. And then both of them enter the foramen magnum, and where they unite inside the skull to form basilar artery. So this part is the fourth part. Inside the skull is the fourth part. First part runs from subclavian artery to vertebral column. This lies in a triangle formed by the scalenus anterior and longicularis. The triangle of the vertebral artery formed by the longus capitis and the scalenus anterior. Second part lies from C6 to C1. Third part lies in the suboccipital triangle. Okay, so here will be the muscles forming the suboccipital triangle like this. Okay, and fourth part lies in is the intracranial part, which unites in front of the pons to form basilar artery. Okay, so this is how grossly the structure of the vertebral artery is. Now, what are the branches of the vertebral artery? Branches of the vertebral artery. Now, intracranial part, all of us know that the intracranial part has mainly the intracranial part has 5 branches, that all of us know, right? Now, before that, let us see that what are the other branches of the vertebral artery. So things which here must be clear to you till now. First part, second part, third part, and fourth part. It gives few branches in the neck, and those branches are called as cervical branches. And they are the spinal branches, which are given through the vertebral canal. Okay, through the vertebral canal to the intervertebral foramina. So as it is passing here through the foramen transversorium, it gives the spinal branches. First part doesn't give any branches as such, but second part gives branches, and these are the spinal branches. So second part will give spinal branches. The third part will give muscular branches. Okay, so the spinal branches will be given by the second part, and third part will give muscular branches. These muscular branches will be given to the suboccipital muscles. So these will give spinal branches will go inside through the various intervertebral foramina and supply the spinal cord, meninges, vertebrae. No. Now we'll talk about the cranial branches. Cranial branches. The cranial branches are 5 in number. Rather, I would say, uh, if you have studied the circle of Willis and the main arteries contributing to it, or rather all these branches which are going inside the main arteries going inside, supplying the major structures, majority of them have 5 branches. Basilar artery will also have 5 branches, which is formed by the union of the 2 vertebral arteries. A rare phenomenon where 2 arteries are uniting to form another artery. Okay, a rare phenomenon. And a vein dividing, retromandibular vein, an artery uniting, vertebral arteries. Another rare phenomenon is seen in this case only. Like we have this one side vertebral artery going like this, other side vertebral artery coming like this, and both of them unite to form basilar artery. But the anterior spinal arteries arise from both of them and they also unite. So anterior spinal artery is another example which is seen in case of vertebral artery only. So this is one vertebral artery, this is vertebral artery, and this is basilar artery. And this is anterior spinal artery. Anterior spinal artery. So two anterior spinal arteries again unite with each other to form a single anterior spinal artery. And so there is posterior spinal artery. So here are the 2 branches already you know of the vertebral artery, anterior spinal artery, posterior spinal artery. Then there is a branch, pica, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, which will supply the inferior and posterior part of cerebellum, but which supplies the lateral part of medulla. Lateral part of medulla. So this is the artery which is responsible, if blocked, responsible for lateral medullary syndrome. Lateral medullary syndrome, pica. Then there are medullary branches which go and supply the medulla. And then there are meningeal branches. Meningeal branches. So anterior spinal artery, but I would start with meningeal branches. Okay. Then posterior spinal artery, then anterior spinal artery, then pica, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and lastly there are some branches directly go to medulla, and those are the mm, those are the medullary branches. So 5 branches of the vertebral artery: meningeal, posterior spinal, anterior spinal, pica, posterior inferior cerebellar artery, and medullary. 4 parts. It arises from the first part of subclavian. First part passes through the triangle of the vertebral artery, which is between scalenus anterior and longus capitis. Second part lies in the foramen transversorium, of C6 to C1. Third part lies in the floor of the suboccipital triangle. Fourth part lies inside the skull, because both the vertebral arteries enter through the foramen magnum. This is the foramen magnum, and they run a short course inside the foramen magnum, and both side arteries unite to form basilar artery, a unique example where arteries are uniting. Now coming to the applied anatomy. Applied anatomy of subclavian artery. The vertebral artery, but I'm writing here subclavian artery also. That is called as subclavian steal syndrome. Subclavian steal syndrome. What is subclavian steal syndrome? Now this is subclavian artery on one side, and this is the vertebral artery arising. And this vertebral artery has gone to the third part and now has united to form basilar artery. Okay. This is the subclavian artery of the other side, has gone towards the vertebral column, ascended up, passed to the third part, and then inside the skull, and they have united to form the basilar artery. Now what has happened here is subclavian artery proximal, gets blocked proximal to the origin of vertebral artery. So this is vertebral artery. Now we are talking about, suppose there is a block on the left side. And this is the right side. Hmm? I'm talking about my right side. Otherwise, if you are talking about the person started standing in anatomical position, this will be left and this is the right side. So suppose right side there is a block. Okay. Now what happens is this is supposed to supply the superior limb, upper limb. But now upper limb is not getting blood because subclavian is blocked. So what the upper limb does, because upper limb movement is happening. So here now what happens is the blood is now going to the brain over here, and this upper limb pulls the blood from the left subclavian. So the blood which was going up to the brain now starts flowing like this, through this vertebral to this subclavian. So in short, this blood was supposed to go to brain, but is being now pulled to the right side. It is being pulled to the right side upper limb. Okay, from the left subclavian, the right subclavian is pulling the blood, taking the advantage that two vertebral arteries are uniting. In this whole process, the blood supply to the brain may get compromised, and that is called as subclavian steal syndrome, where vertebral artery on one side is blocked proximal to the origin. So then the upper limb of that side pulls the blood from the other subclavian via the vertebral artery. But in this whole process, the blood supply to the brain may get compromised, may not get compromised also many times, because brain has a nice collateral circulation. So thank you so much. Here we end the session on vertebral artery.